Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengal fan, and I am here for another episode of Jungle Talk, a very special episode because not only am I joined by my partner in crime, Sam Schneider of Primetime Sports Talk, but we have one of the most recognizable faces of Bengal fans in the stands with us today. Sam, I will throw it to you to give him a proper introduction.
Absolutely. The man needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. We've got Shawn Moore, aka WhoDeyBaby. Was recognized last year as Bengals Fan of the Year. He is an NFL super fan, and last year he was at the draft to announce a Bengals pick, which was really, really cool to see him up there alongside Roger Goodell. So, Shawn, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Honor to have you here.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate getting to be I'm honored to be the first guest.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, I get to mark this down on my resume.
Put it on there. It's going to get you so much.
I know. I think I get an instant raise when I go to work tomorrow. Hey, it's here. I was on Jungle Talk last night.
That's right. It's definite street cred. So,
right.
Well, I got to ask you, I'd be remiss. What was it like being on the stage? I mean, you were up there for which pick?
So I got called up for our fifth pick. Just to sit in Roger's chair. That was a surprise. I didn't know that was going to happen. So that was just kind of so that was cool. I got to hand the jersey to Jamar Chase and gave him a whole, man hug, that whole thing. And my whole worry was not to get face paint on his white suit because that was
Jamar Chase.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
then I got to announce the fourth round pick when we picked Tyler Shelton.
Okay. And did they let you keep the card?
They did, as a matter of fact. It happens to be right here.
Awesome. There it is. Right here on Jungle Talk, the actual card.
The actual card.
That's sweet. So let me ask you this, Shawn, with we've got so many recognizable fans that should be called super fans that are at our games every week. How did it feel to be, picked and voted on by your peers to be fan of the year last season?
It was a surreal thing. I didn't, I never expect it. It's not, I'm not that guy that's looking for the recognition, that kind of stuff. I just do it because I've been doing it for over 20 years now. It's kind of
right
in my blood. So to have other people tell me that they've seen me do this for years, they see, they love what I represent as a fan, the positivity, that kind of stuff. And not, when you're at a game, you don't want to be a jerk when you see other fans. When you see opposing teams they're there, they're visiting. When you go to another stadium, you don't want somebody to be a jerk to you. So just those things for other people to recognize you for what you do. And like I said, when the Bengals told me, just somebody saying thank you sometimes means the world. And that's what they said, thank you for being a fan.
And if I'm not mistaken, you've lived in Tampa for quite a while now.
And we're going, this is year 3.
Okay, this is year 3. But you fly in for every game.
Yeah. Every home game. Last year was a little bit different, obviously, with
right.
COVID was a whole beast, so we marked that one off. But it's been 12 years since I've missed a home game.
Wow. See, that's some serious dedication.
Now that's a fan. That's right. The number one fan. That's who you give the award to. So it was given to the right person. So
I agree 100%.
Do you have to do pictures at the airport? I mean, like when you land, you're coming in, or do you have people coming over to take pictures with you?
I mean, I'm semi incognito at the airport. I wear my Bengals suit jacket, and I'm carrying this big hat through.
Right.
I get looks here or there, especially when I have a layover in Baltimore or something. There, the direct flight, we're fine. I get off in Cincinnati. Everybody gets why I look the way I do, but then it's when I have the flights that leave immediately after the game. Those are some funny looks as I go into a bathroom one way and then I come out. It's like somebody murdered a clown in the sink, and then I get.
So how long does it take you total to do your whole setup?
I can be showered, shaved, and face paint on in 45 minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
The 20
so practice makes perfect, right?
Of doing it. It's been,
So, all right, well, let's jump into a little Bengal news, and then we're going to do things like we usually do. Things where we'll cover training camp and the season, things we're not feeling good about, things we're feeling good about. Just a couple tidbits from Bengal news. Obviously Mike Daniels made it to the practice squad. We added Jake Browning to the practice squad today. Some quarterback depth there. And then the biggest thing that disappointed me, I think it disappointed all of us, was the news that we don't have Trey Wayans this week. I mean, if there was ever a time to make a debut as your Bengal, you could be playing your former team, and instead you're not making the field. And we talk about this all the time. The most important ability is availability, and nothing yet. So
yeah, and he's got a hammy, and who knows? It might keep him out a couple weeks. Hopefully, it'll just be the one, but we'll see. But yeah, after not having them all last season, that kind of took the air out of me a little bit, because I was like, especially against Minnesota, I mean, they've got such a potent offense that you kind of want all your guys out there.
Well, and especially one that might have a chip on his shoulder. I mean, he's playing his former team. We got Riley facing his former team. I'm expecting big things from him. So this was an opportunity. I'm just kind of disappointed. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
So, but
just hoping he's not snake bitten, that this is kind of, it's like I said, a 1 week thing and can get out there. But I'm a little worried because you've got, Eli Apple out there, Darius Phillips, against Justin Jefferson. That's
and Adam Thielen, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a big Eli Apple fan. I was okay with the signing for depth, but I never anticipated we'd be rolling him out week 1 as a starter. So we'll see how the things go. Anybody else have any more news they wanted to throw out there, or?
I think there's so much, and like you said before the show, Mark, I think a lot of this has been talked ad nauseum. There are a couple guys that ended up on the practice squad that people thought were possibly going to make the team. Guys like Thad Moss,
Right.
Who kind of lost out pretty much so that Mitchell Wilcox could play special teams. So there were surprises, but I don't think there was anything that I was like, I don't know about that move. Mike Daniels surprised me, but I'm glad we were able to bring him back in.
Yeah, I was too. And I was good with Thad Moss too, because I do think he's going to make the team. At some point, we're going to be reaching back and getting him on the lineup. I think he hits the field for us this year. And I think he's got something to contribute. But yeah, this is where we talk about whether you play 3 teams, 4 teams, 5 teams, as far as a player, you make yourself indispensable. And the fact that he couldn't contribute on special teams is why he didn't get a roster spot. So, but let's just jump right in. Training camp. I don't want to recap the whole thing because it's been done ad nauseum, but we'll always start with the negative. Give me something that you're not feeling good about coming out of training camp. I can lead off, or one of you guys can go. Let me know. Go ahead.
I would say the biggest thing is just, you hate to lose Osai for the year. I mean, it happened in the preseason. That hurt after seeing that flash. So the injuries are always never a good thing, especially when they become season ending in training camp.
And it looks like we're going to be missing Wyatt Hubert, as well as Hakeem Adeniji. It doesn't look like those guys are going to be back from their injuries, I don't think. But there are some other ones that that went on, like you got Khalid Kareem, Mitchell Wilcox, who's got a concussion, Cam Sample, who was a little banged up. Those guys are on short-term IR, so it could only be 3 weeks. So, yeah, I agree with you. Obviously injuries is what you hope to dodge, and everyone feels like a punch in the gut. But at the same time, I think we avoided some of the really big ones. But I agree, the loss of Joseph Asai was, especially after that game.
Yeah,
right,
well, he
gave you that flash, and you had it for 2 series. You're like, this is fantastic, and then the news.
Right.
Yeah,
we'll see you next year. Right.
Yeah.
And I saw some of the tweets, and there were people blaming Zach for having him out on the field. And I was like, guys, this was his time. He wasn't out there in the second half. I mean, this happened, in the beginning of the game. It is what it is. I think we avoided some of the huge ones. I mean, you look at a team like Baltimore having 2 blown Achilles. I think overall, but the thing I'm going to throw out there, and I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. I don't like what I saw from Chase. I don't think anybody did, but I want to, and this has been brought up by, I think, Rob Valet on Twitter, and a couple other people brought it up. Might've been Larry Horn, but Justin Jefferson had a horrible preseason last year. And look what he did in the regular season.
Yeah, he turned out okay.
Yeah. So
sorry.
We're talking 5 targets. Would I like to have seen something better? Yeah, I think we all would have. But there's that question mark, but I'm hoping, like I said, that the Justin Jefferson scenario plays out, and that was just a that was just the, we'll call it the first tee jitters. If you're a golfer and you've ever walked up and hit your worst drive on the first tee, but then you kind of find it's the first tee jitters. So let's go with that.
I think for me, I think, what I didn't like, it's a double-edged sword, because what I didn't like is with the shortened preseason, and obviously, like we were just talking about, you don't want your starters out there so much that they're at risk of being injured. But I just feel like I have no idea. Like, I haven't seen anything. You can read all you want about some practice recaps, but a lot of the guys that you're really hoping are going to step forward and be a big part of this team, we didn't get to see them at all. So you're kind of like, I don't know how to feel about this. I'm still excited about those guys. But I don't know how you can feel really great about the fact that you didn't see a bunch of these guys play. You know what I mean? You didn't see Mike Hilton out there very much, which I really wanted. But again, didn't want him to get injured. So I'm kind of arguing with myself at this point.
Yeah.
I think that's part of why I don't like the Chase thing. It's not under my skin yet. I mean, it's not great, but at the same time, there was no consistency for him there. It wasn't like he was out on multiple series and that kind of stuff. So didn't have, like I said, you get the first tee jitters, but then you have 17 more holes to get rid of those jitters.
Yeah. Right.
You drive first series, you didn't get 17 more holes. You you sat on the golf cart or you went back to the clubhouse to drink a beer. So I think that's part of why the Chase thing, I'm not freaking out yet. Now if we get into a whole game and he catches one pass out of 12 targets or something, then we'll have an issue.
Yeah. I mean, and you're talking about a guy who, in his last season at LSU, and granted he was out of football for a year. But he had 20 touchdowns and like 1,800 yards. I'd seriously doubt he just forgot how to catch the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
So, he claims he was overthinking. I got to say, he had 5 targets. Okay. 4 of them were from Brandon Allen. Okay. The one pass that he got from Joe Burrow on that 3-play sequence where Burrow came in, Tyler Boyd misses his block. So he's got heat coming in on him and he knows the guy's coming. He knows he's going to get drilled and kind of lets it get to his arms and it bounces off of him. So it was but that's really the only pass we saw him get from Joe Burrow. And it was one of those, like I said, there's other things going on. So let's hope that's the exception. All right, let's jump to something positive. What are we feeling good about?
I don't understand how you could not be excited about this offense, even if we didn't see them play much together. You know what I mean? We saw what Burrow did last year before he went down. He looked every bit as advertised. We've added Chase. It's not like the guy's going to be a bust. He's sure ain't John Ross out there. You've got T. Higgins back. You got Boyd. They're healthy. Mixon's healthy. How can you not feel good about this offense? I think you have to be happy about it.
Right. And an improved offensive line. Like I said, I don't know that we're a top 10 offensive line. We don't know what we have until we see them all together for an extended period. But there's no Bobby Hart out there. Alex Redmond, the human penalty flag, is no longer on the team. And we've got Frank Pollock back. So this line has to be better. And then, Shawn, you mentioned the defense.
I don't know what I got a good feeling about this defense. I think that the line itself is going to be in great shape. We got run stuffers in the middle. Like I said, you got my man, Tyler Shelvin, who takes up 2 gaps, just there.
Yes.
It's fantastic. So then you can let Logan Wilson kind of, if you can keep them off your linebackers, he can pursue on those runs and just I feel like the DBs are better. Like I said, we've got that one right now, the weak spot with Wayne's being out, but I just think that the defense is going to be something to be reckoned with.
I think the DBs are certainly deeper as a core for sure, which we didn't have last year. When 2 guys went down, it was like, who's coming up? Who do we have coming from the wings? And now you got a whole host of names. I hated losing McKenzie. But I think Mike Hilton is a fantastic pickup. Regardless of how you feel about him from where he's been before, he's a great player and he's shown nothing but absolutely loving being on this team. And so I'm real excited about him too.
Yeah, well, Hilton, not only did he bring his recruiting hat, I mean, once he was signed by the team, he was one of our biggest ambassadors in going out and trying to get other people to sign. But he brings a swag and an attitude that this locker room really hasn't had since like Burkfect. And Montez was kind of over the top, but he brings this is from a winning locker room. So I really like the swag and the attitude that he brings. I'm going to throw one other thing out there, and that is I feel really good for the first time in a long time about our kicking game. I mean, I am so happy. When he made that 57-yarder right before the half, I tweeted out immediately, at least we found our kicker. No more Fat Randy. You know, I mark my words. He will win games for us. He's going to be our Justin Tucker. I'm so fired for the first time ever. I'm so fired up about our kicking game. So
the fact that you can get to the other side of the 50 and know that you may have a chance of getting points.
You know,
we should have had that. We should have had that with Jake Elliott.
Yeah,
we should have, but he just we didn't want to pull the trigger on putting him on the team over a veteran.
Yeah, and where is he now? He's making kicks for the Eagles. So thank you very much. So all right, well, let's get into the season. And we're going to do the same format. We'll do the season, and we're going to do the upcoming game. We'll do the same format. So talk about things you're not feeling good about coming in. And I'm going to start because you actually hit my thing on yours about training camp. And it's like, the thing I'm not feeling good about is we don't know what we have. That's exactly what I wrote. I mean, we are literally a dented can with no label. And you'd stand there and you look at it, and we could be yams, we could be fruit cocktail, we could be cream corn. We have no idea what's in the can. We know we put a lot of good ingredients in there, but we don't know what we have until we get out there on opening day. And that kind of troubles me. So
could be a can of corn.
Could be fruit cocktail. Who knows?
Right. As long as it's got lots of little cherries in it, we're good.
That's it.
Right.
So that was, you actually had my thing for, that's how I feel about the season upcoming. It's hard for me to know what we're going to see. I'm very optimistic. I'm the most optimistic I've been in years coming into the season, but there's this huge area of doubt because we haven't taken the car out for a spin yet. We really haven't. And opened it up.
And for me, I'll just boil it down to the position group, which is what you said, which is the offensive line. You know, I in Frank Pollock, I trust 100%. It was our biggest offseason signing, like you said. It's one of those things where I'm still just like, but I don't know. I don't know yet. How, because it's a new setup. It's a new combination of guys. You got guys moving to other positions in the line. I don't know how that works, but I do trust Frank. But I'm just like, once again, you know, could be yams, could be fruit cocktail.
Don't know. No. All right, Shawn, give us your not feeling good about going into the season and the game.
I think that I just keep going back to our bad luck with injuries. It seems to be always haunts us. And that's kind of where I'm like, every time we think we've got something, we're going to go, and then you lose these integral parts. So that's always, I mean, I guess it's not a bad part. It is a bad part of the season, but it doesn't, you know, I don't know exactly what wording I want to go with, but it's just kind of one of those things that sticks in my head that makes me go, we have all these parts. This is great. And then, you know, dude trips down the stairs and pulls her groins out. Yeah, that
right.
Well, no, and the injury that comes to mind,
and it's a groin that should keep him out of practice for 3 days, but he should be good to go on Sunday. And instead, 8 weeks later, they shut him down for the season.
They're like, oh, let's put him on IR now.
Yeah. Well, those are actually the two examples I was going to talk about. Number one was the Tyler Eifert injury against Baltimore, that helmet to the elbow. And I mean, we had our shiny new toy. It was our first round pick and first game out, one of the early plays, our first drive, he's gone. He's gone. Right. So that one, and then obviously Cordy Glenn and his concussion that went on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and yeah, shaking my head. So, all right. Well, in terms of the game, what do you guys? Well, let's do the season record. So based on what we didn't say anything about feeling good.
Well, honestly, when I was hitting the training camp, I was already thinking about the season. Yeah. So like I said, my feeling good is still, how do you not feel good about this offense? As long as the offensive line holds up, you got to love our ability to put points on the board.
Yeah.
In a hurry at that.
Yeah, no, and I'm the same way. I'm feeling good. Burrow's back. I've been the most optimistic I have been in years. And Pollock's back. I mean, Mixon had his best season under Pollock, and look at what Pollock did with guys like Bobby Hart and Alex Redmond.
Yeah,
He's got better tools now. He's got better ingredients for the salad, as Bill Parcells always used to say.
right.
So yeah, you can't not feel, and I'm feeling really good about this defense. I especially our depth in the secondary. The big question mark is going to be the linebackers, but I really think that Logan Wilson steps up. I think he takes a big jump.
I think Jermaine Pratt does too. I think Jermaine Pratt might turn out to be like one of our biggest players on defense this year.
Okay,
He's going to make a serious move.
well, now here I was thinking the same thing about Wilson, but I'd love to see them both do their thing.
Well, they kind of both need to, because we're going to run a lot of defenses out there where we're only featuring 2 linebackers. So
I was really surprised that we didn't go back, keep Josh Barnes. I just, he was a consistent piece. Once again, winning locker room with the Ravens. I was really surprised that he wasn't in the mix, but I'm trying to put the positive spin on that. They have so much faith in Pratt and Wilson that they were willing to let Barnes go.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I thought he would have been a nice keep just because of the veteran leadership part. And he seemed to be a locker room leader last year, but I guess people know better than we do.
Yeah.
Or at least you hope so.
Right.
Let's do our season prediction, the record for our team. And I can go first if you want. I've got my notes ready here. My season prediction, I went through our schedule. I think there are 4 games there that are definite wins. Obviously, and all this is saying that we stay healthy and all that, but I see there 4 wins. I see 5 probable losses. I mean, you have to realistically look at the schedule. We're playing Kansas City, at Cleveland. I mean, there are games there in the Niners. There are games there that are going to be tough games. And then that leaves us the other 8 games. So if we go, it's 3, 4, 5, or 6 of those 8 games. So you're anywhere from 7-10 to 10-7. I'd like to think we could win half of them and at least be, an 8-9 team. Maybe we flip the script and we go 9-8, but realistically, that's where I think our expectations is in the 8-9, 9-8 scenario. Obviously, I mean, our offense looks unbelievable. We can get to 10 games, but realistically going in, I think 8-9, 9-8. What do you guys think?
I'll throw mine out there. We did this a couple episodes ago, Mark, and I've not changed my tune. I might actually go through the schedule and change what I said about certain games in particular. I did not do that for the purpose of this video. I'm sticking with my original prediction, which was 7-10, and I feel like that's a fairly optimistic one. I'm trying to be a realistic fan. Obviously, I want to see us just go through and start stomping people. I do think still that the offense for the majority of it is young, and I don't think they've really had time to gel yet. I think they're going to be dangerous, but I think, and we'll talk about this game coming up, game like the Vikings, I originally thought was kind of a slam dunk, and now I'm starting to go, well, maybe not, maybe. Only because it's just us getting out the gate. Can we expect our young offense to get out of the gate ultra quick like that? So regardless, I'm not going to go through the games, but I'm sticking to my original prediction when we did it, which was 7-10. Yeah. How about for you, Shawn?
17-0, of course.
That's right.
Jeez.
Number 1 fan.
I will not stand for this negativity.
I was thinking about it while the 2 of us were talking. While the 2 of us were talking, Shawn was probably sitting there going, "These assholes."
No, but I honestly, I for some reason 10-7 seems to stick in my head. I feel that's realistic. Maybe sneak into a wild card somewhere and see if we can break that streak and get a playoff win someday.
I don't think that's unrealistic at all. 7-10 is my pick, but like I said, if they fool me and they come out with a little more maturity than I am overthinking this into, then I absolutely could see us making a little bit of a run.
Yeah. No, it's funny because Sam, you represent kind of my floor at 7-10. And at 10-7, Shawn, you're at my ceiling, which is where, in my range of reasonableness, obviously, like I said, I'd love to see, 12-5, win the division, that kind of thing. But And we don't know how injuries play out. Other teams have injury, COVID issues. COVID's going to play a role. It's already playing a role Thursday night. I mean, Dallas is going to be without there's one of their key offensive linemen.
Yeah, Zach Thomas is out.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to play a role. We're going to see how things kind of play out. So anything's possible. But yeah, you guys, one of you guys, it's funny because one of you is at my ceiling and one of you is at my floor. So
yeah.
So
and we don't want to talk the COVID thing to death, but the last we heard was somebody that I know inside the organization said, and I quote, there is, quote, a handful of guys that are not vaccinated, which is way better than a lot of other teams in the league. So he didn't tell me if that was because guys didn't want to get it or whatever, but a handful is way better than, 15, 20 dudes on your 53-man roster.
Oh, yeah. Well, the league came out and announced that it was roughly 7% of the league, which comes out to about 150 players. So 32 teams, it's 4 or 5 on an average, it's 4 or 5 players a team. There are going to be teams that we know that are 100% vaccinated. Bucks and Falcons are the first two. And we also know that there are teams that probably have serious issues. One of them we're going to be playing this weekend, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. Had a huge problem getting guys to go get vaccinated. The Buffalo Bills are another team that had issues. So, we're kind of probably in that 3 to 4 player, scrum in the middle. And I would think that, we're playing, like I said, the Vikings would be that, 10, 12 players. And that's why the average is the average. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty fantastic segue, Mark.
And here we are. So let's talk about Minnesota, one of the teams that isn't vaccinated as much as they'd like to be. The owner has all but come out and said that. So what are we not feeling good about going up against the Vikings this week?
I don't, their offense is outstanding. Although, when you look at it, aside from I just wrote this on a set of picks the other day. When you look at it, aside from the ages of the two quarterbacks, these two offenses are almost mirror images of each other. You've got two very, very good running backs, both of which have had some injury issues. You've got two quarterbacks that can throw the ball way down the field. You've got a young, flashy receiver, in Jefferson. You've got young, flashy receivers on our side. You've got old, reliable Tyler Boyd and old, reliable Adam Thielen. And both team have enormous question marks on the offensive line. So, even then, I don't feel good about, their ability to score on us, but I do feel good about our ability to score on them as well.
Okay.
Because both teams revamped their defenses too, and they still have a lot of question marks.
Yeah. In terms of feeling good or feeling bad, I'm concerned about our stopping the run. That was a big issue for us. So if the linebackers play up to what we're hoping for, we could stop the run. Otherwise, I mean, this could be a tough day. We've got to get pressure on Cousins. So to me, it's more on the defense in terms of shutting down the Minnesota. I think we're going to get some points on them. Yeah, I do believe. I think that Zach's going to scheme up something that's going to get us down the field. I see us putting up a decent number of points. Question is do we stop them? And
that same write up, and I'm sorry, Shawn, I'll pitch it to you in a sec. That same write up I was doing picks for every game for this week. It'll be out on Primetime Sports Talk. In this game, I chose both teams to go over 30 points.
Okay.
So we'll see.
High flying.
That's right.
I think the thing I feel I'm not so sure about, like I touched on earlier, is just not having that number one cornerback out there.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson or against Thielen, because somebody's going to get that mismatch.
Yep.
And how can they, how much can they take advantage of that? Do you slide over Bates to try to help over there? But then does that leave your middle open, that kind of thing? I'm not so worried about stuff in the round. I feel like that is good. I don't know. It could, hopefully they don't prove me wrong, but that's I just feel like the passing game is where I'm a little bit worried, but hopefully dial up the right kind of blitz, do something just to keep them on their toes, send Hilton out, see what happens. But
well, Riley's playing a former team, so I'm really hoping that he steps up and has a really good game. So we shall see. One of the things that I'm feeling really good about, besides McPherson being our kicker, because I do think this could come down to a kick of his at the end. But one of the things I'm feeling good about, I think we're going to generate pressure on Kirk Cousins. I've never understood the attraction of Kirk Cousins. I never understood Spielman giving him this huge contract. Whenever there was a key game that Washington needed, all those years he was a franchise tag, he never delivered, never. And he responds to pressure. And if we can get in his face, a strength of our defense is a secondary. Mike Hilton gets a blitz on him. I mean, I really think we can disrupt Cousins. So that's something, our ability to mess with Kirk Cousins, I feel good about. That's something I like going into this game.
You know what? I agree with that because, you're talking about two teams that were towards the bottom of the NFL last year in sacks. Minnesota had 23, Cincinnati, I believe, had 17. I like the idea of he's flown somehow under the radar, Trey Hendrickson. Like nobody's talking about him, and I can't wait to see him get into the backfield a couple times. And then you got, whatever rotation they use with Hendrickson and Hubbard and some of the other guys that we have picked up. I mean, we're going to be able to put some pressure back there, and most importantly, keep guys with fresh legs on the field.
Right.
I'm gonna go to the offensive side. I have a feeling about Mixon. I feel like he's just gonna go off. I feel like he hated the way that last season ended, with injury that was one of those prolonged injuries that we thought, he'll be back, and then he didn't. I think he's just ready to show something. I think that offensive line is ready to prove the world wrong. We all know they're not going to be the greatest offensive line in the league, but we just need better.
Right.
We don't need great. We need average to give both Joe the time to get where they need to be. And I just think that Mixon is just going to go off. I
actually started Mixon this week in my fantasy league, so I fully believe you're right. And it's the same thing. We said a lot last season. If our defense was just average, how many of the games we would have won last year?
Right.
And that was with the inferior offensive line and no chase. And I mean, we would have won. There were so many close games. So
carousel of quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, so I agree with you entirely. So I'm really fired up about that. All right, let's give some predictions here. What do you think? Who wants to throw out their score?
I'll give you a score, but I'll give you a fun little stat first, just in case anybody's interested. It's obviously from last year, so we all know that this means absolutely nothing. The Bengals in Minnesota played 5 common opponents last year. The Bengals were 3-2. They beat Tennessee, Houston, and Jacksonville. Minnesota was 2-3. They beat Houston and Jacksonville. Both teams lost to the Colts and the Cowboys. Not really much of a surprise there. I just wanted to say it because it was at the top of my piece of paper, to be totally honest with you.
Cool. No, hey, I loved it. So,
but I will tell you what I wrote in my picks today. I wrote that Minnesota will win this game 37-31.
Wow.
In a massive shootout. However, I will say on this show that I think the Cincinnati Bengals win 34-31 because I changed my mind ever since.
So wait. So is it going to print that you're picking Minnesota and on video you're picking the Bengals? Okay,
it already did.
All right. Oh, it already went to print.
Man, waffle over here.
Yeah. No, you know what?
Hey, look. I'm nothing if not equal opportunity for all parties involved.
We're gonna let Shawn make his prediction, and then I'll break the tie. Okay, so which tells you I know where Shawn's going. So
I think after it's going to be 100-0. No,
right.
I'm going to go 28-17. Seems to feel about right.
Okay, I like it.
All right. I think we're going to move the ball, but I think we stall a couple times. I think McPherson probably has 3 or 4 field goals. I do think we're going to move the ball, but I'm going with 29-24 Bengals.
Nice.
Okay. And I think
so we all picked the Bengals.
No, you did. You have picked the Bengals. Yeah. Anybody who put in print that they picked Minnesota can't say they were 100% behind the Bengals because you half picked them.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll track Shawn down at the game and he can beat me up if he needs to.
So
There you go.
hey, no reason,
I mean,
reason. There's enough hate in the
if
world
things
already.
gotta happen. Things gotta happen. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So
I'll be there. I'll be there losing my voice just like I always am.
all right,
Love
well,
it.
we will be for the rest of the season. We'll be doing our previews on Sam and I usually record them at halftime of the Thursday night game. So we're recording them Thursday night and we'll do the best we can about getting the reactions one up right after the game. And you know what? I can include Shawn. I can include you on the link on the Zoom if you ever want to call in from the stadium and do it on your phone real quick and make a guest appearance. So
It might just happen. Depends if I'm driving to the airport. If I'm sitting there, we'll maybe be able to figure something out. So,
yeah, so we'll definitely try to work up stuff. We're trying to work in some surprises for everybody this year. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. We don't ask you for Patreon money or anything like
Wait
that.
a minute. Do we ask for cash for that?
No,
Mark?
we don't ask for anything. We just ask for
Oh, wow, so
subscribers.
it's
We want
free. How about
support
that?
the show. That's it. That's all we ask. So any closing thoughts, Shawn? It was absolutely awesome to have you on the show, to have you be our first guest. I can't thank you enough.
Very awesome to have you. And I will be tracking you down to tailgate a little bit before the game on Sunday.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I appreciate you all having me on. I look forward to seeing everybody this season. I'm always in lot 1 before the game, section 158, row 48 during the game. Come on out, see me, have a drink, buy me a drink if you want. I mean, I'm a cheap.
There you go.
Please.
So I'm ready to go. Let's get the season started. Hooray, baby!
Hooray! All right, everybody. We will catch you after the game on Sunday, and we'll say hooray, everybody.
Hooray!
Hooray. Take care.